Yeah.
It's a Wisdom Wednesday, so we got to listen to the doctor.
Good morning, Nudelberg Daily Huddle.
I'm a man who lives in the city. I'm a man who lives in the streets. Everywhere I go. Bum, bum. Everybody's always asking me. People want to know. Everywhere I go. What can the answer be? Ooh, it makes you feel like you want to. I gotta listen to the doctor. Just like you want to. I tell them music is the doctor.
Lord.
This is like one of my favorite songs. And as you can tell, I've been listening to this since 3:30 this morning, man. It's the rhythm I need. It's a good time. Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
So it is not Takeover Thursday, but there's a couple shout outs that I want to make from yesterday. Shout out to Ann Gottwald. Unbelievable conversation yesterday. Great things going on. Absolutely loving.
Posting some great content. Her evening rituals. Bam.
Thank you, Ann. Nicely done. Shout out to Scott McGregor. Fantastic conversation yesterday. That was and just talk about quality people who you surround yourself with. Much appreciated you taking the time with me and getting the chance to really build a relationship with you and I. And then shout out to Andy Hill from City Furniture, CRO. His DMGB is coming out today. I'll drop it right after the huddle. And that one is chock full of nuggets.
Well, Andy Hill, I think, is one of the smartest human beings I've ever met. I mean, that guy he's got cerebral muscles wrapped around cerebral muscles.
And it was just a really, really good conversation. So great stuff going on. I want to shout it out to everybody who made my day yesterday fantastic. And last but not least, Colette Bland, tomorrow's leader, cystic fibrosis. Thank you for having me last night. It was a great time talking to you guys.
There is some good stuff. Also, what was kind of neat, and this is what's so great about the economy that we're in and the tools that are available. Brett Weisbrat, good friend, client for years, started his own podcast, and he had you on yesterday, and that was a phenomenal interview. You know, every time I hear you speak, I'm crying. So
I appreciate it. Shout out to Brett who dropped that episode. You can find that on his page and his stuff. That's a sports equity podcast, and that was another good conversation just of telling stories and talking about how I got to where we're at.
Lovely show. It's Wisdom Wednesday. Give you the rundown of what today's show is. We have some current events. We have some cool things. It's going to be a lot about stories. And then we're going to culminate with focusing on a dear friend, Joe Mullings, who is one of those rock star human beings that I consider in my personal five. He's an amazing guy, smart, aggressive, took to social media, a business partner of ours. So we'll talk to him. But let's get to some fun facts first. Today, August 12th, 1939, one of my favorite movies ever was premiered, and that would be The Wizard of Oz.
Take it to the Wizard. So I love that movie. I mean, I loved it as a kid, but the lessons you learn there about, heart and courage and all of the things that the Tin Man needed and the Scarecrow needed, that's another movie up there with like pulling out the nuggets to learn from, way up there.
Well, here's the thing. You've had the power all along.
Right.
Really click your heels, do whatever. But you've had it all, Glenda. Really, really great stuff. Now, I will tell you candidly, as a kid, those monkeys scared the shit out of me, man.
Yeah,
so
same for Kai.
yeah.
Kai struggled watching Wizard of Oz because he was freaked out by the monkeys.
With the music, it was creepy, man. The early special effects, that scarred me a little bit,
Yeah.
So anyway, keeping on the theme from yesterday, that Klay Thompson commercial was so riveting and so many great lessons. It reminds me that art informs life. It's everywhere. Movies, we're pulling nuggets out of movies. We're pulling nuggets out of music that inform us. Commercials do the same. And if you have not seen the latest Nike commercial, the name of the commercial is You Can't Stop Us. Wyden and Kennedy, which is their agency forever, and one of the top creative agencies on the planet, spent about 4,000 hours reviewing footage, and they've merged different images together. It was spectacular. Mark, you can speak to a little bit of it.
Yeah, it was a great commercial, but I have this smart ass comment that I absolutely have to say, and you can't stop us unless you're the Big Ten and the Pac-12, because we absolutely stopped you, because there will be no football played this season. So can we stop you?
Yeah, there you go.
But in all seriousness, if you haven't seen that ad, it was spliced together so perfectly with male and female athletes and black and white athletes going back and forth within the same scene from different sports. The message is great. Nike continues to set the standard for what marketing should look like.
Couple of the takeaways there. We know things won't always go our way. They're reminding us, but the takeaway line for me is, but whatever it is, we'll find a way. We always do. We always will. Whether you're in the locker room, whether you're in the boardroom, whatever it is, we will always find a way. So I will post that commercial today in the Facebook group, because really, it's just so inspiring to see that kind of talent. A couple of shout outs for me. You gave some shout outs. Jeff Brott was one of my clients from Dex Imaging. When I started working with him a year plus ago, he was sort of floundering. A lot of people in his situation, not adept with the new tools. The world was racing around him. Well, yesterday I get this, which is a standout card. Big shout out to Mark and I. And this is the line of the century. In a nutshell, your techniques and can-do approach helped me to excel over this past 5 months, better than my entire 35-year career in sales. And then he sent us something good. Here's a little something good, brownies. So,
Amen.
We'll be dunking some of those today. Along that same line, and then I'll get to some of the meat of today, Ben Sterner, friend, client, CEO of a leverage agency. We're doing some amazingly cool stuff together. He was in a bookstore called Mitchell's in Connecticut, and he found a book that said, Hug Your Customers. And he wrote me a little note. Dear Steve, thought of you immediately when I saw this book. I bought one for you and for me. I think you'll like it and it'll be helpful, especially with clients like your furniture clients. Listen, I don't know about you, but if someone buys you a book, is there a better, statement like, wow, he thinks I'm smart. Yep. He knows he's making a suggestion that I know how to read. So here's the other thing. And we do have a division that we work with that handles books. And one of the things about when you give somebody a book, they never throw it away. So I'll save that with the card. Thank you, Ben Sterner. Thank you, Jeff Brott. Thank you again, Ed Dykes. Mark and I will be grabbing a steak and a cigar at Capitol Grill soon. So thank you. So that's the fun stuff. Let's get into some meat and potatoes. We've been handling some great topics. I want to talk to you about stories. Storytelling is so powerful to get a message across. And I came across a story that I wanted to share with you guys, and then I'll add some of my own flavor. But this is a story dating back to the 90s. Emmett Smith reached out to Michael Jordan to learn about business and business etiquette and stuff like that. So he reached out and Mike said, no problem. Fantastic. After they met, Emmett asked him, how come we don't have meetings like this all the time where we're sharing things and learning and all that kind of stuff? Mike said, what did you have to do to get this meeting? Emmett said, Well, I guess all I had to do was call and ask you. And Mike said, exactly. If you had not done that, we would not be sitting down here doing business. Lesson learned, Mark. What's the lesson?
All you have to do is ask.
It's really that simple. Don't ask. Don't try and sell me. Don't try and push shit on me. Just ask. Hey, man, can I grab 15 minutes of coffee and da-da-da-da-da. So
I equate that to at the end of a conversation that you have with somebody and they say, well, what can I do for you? Or anything, what can I do to help you? That to me is the immediate opportunity to ask a question, to say, hey, well, you know what? I would love to learn how you got to where you are. I did it with Scott McGregor yesterday. I said, he said, well, what can I do to help you? I said, honestly, I want to know, or candidly, I said, I want to know what you guys are holding in as your core fundamentals to make your business successful. And he said, it's not pretty. He said, it's not complicated and it's not difficult, and we hopped into talking about that. But I wanted to know that, I could have just said, oh, don't worry about anything, whatever. That's the opportunity to go deeper with somebody and say, you know what, there is something I want to know. I want to know how you built your business, or I want to know what you hold near and dear to your heart. That's the time to really push the conversation further, is when somebody asks you that. What can I do?
So it's interesting. You talk about Scott McGregor. When Scott found me on LinkedIn, that's going to lead right into what we're talking about. Scott found me on LinkedIn. We connected. And a week later, I flew to New York with Michelle to have dinner with him in New York. Best flight I ever took. I went and sat down with the guy. That's a magical human being who has a company called Try Something New. They're one of the tops in the recruiting space, but he's just an awesome dude. He's just a great guy to have in my life. So many good things have happened. I've met so many good people. So I love all that. And it stems from asking. Here's two more asking stories, and then I'm going to jump into content today because we're going to share some nuggets from Joe Mullins, we could be here the entire day and not get through stuff from him. But way back when we worked with the Los Angeles Chargers, somebody posted something about, wow, very cool, you got to work with the Chargers. That guy's name is Steven Cairo. Steven, at the time, was working for Nixon Watches. I reached out to him and said, dude, I'm a huge Nixon fan. I got half my watches are Nixon. Love to have a coffee with you. Had a coffee with him and found out that he was let go. The pandemic, they made a lot of changes and he was let go. And I said, please let me help you. Let me promote you. Who do you want to meet? Whatever. Got into it. And on my dime, I just helped him. And you know what? Made a friend. It was fantastic. I get an email last week. You got time to talk. He got a job with Thermo Fisher Scientific. They're one of the largest medical equipment companies. And he said, listen, I'm so thrilled and so grateful for what you did during that time. I landed in this company where I'm overwhelmed with the opportunity I have, and they want to learn from you as well. Would you be willing to speak for my team? I actually am working on a national deal with them that came because I helped the guy. And I didn't expect anything in return and don't care that this came in return, but I did the right thing there. So Joe Mullins is one of those same guys. Joe Mullins, I found him to be offering amazing content on LinkedIn early on. This is 2018. And I just reached out to him after a while, and people who have taken our course know that I just was drafting him, following, liking, boom, making comments. And then I reached out to him one day and said, hey, I would love to grab a cup of coffee. That's when we were still doing it physically, which I did. I went there and met with him, and I knew instantly that this was going to be one of the guys at my advisory board. It was just absolutely brilliant. Little did I know that he was following me at the same time. So we have this mutual admiration. He's been on my podcast twice. I've been on his podcast twice. He has a whole studio. He's phenomenal. Mark, you've met him. Share 2 seconds about him, and let's jump in and talk about some Joe Mullins nuggets.
Number one, the quality of guy he was. When I got out of coaching and came down here and was deciding what I should do and how I should do it, should I jump right into being an entrepreneur? Should I take, an opportunity with somebody else? He was one of the people that you told me, you coached me, you said, reach out to Joe and ask him to get together because you just are looking for some direction. Great. He took it right away. Absolutely would love to. We got right on the calendar. And when I sat with him, he gave me some unbelievable candid advice that I wasn't even really ready for. But he saw what we're doing now, you and I working together. He told me I should do 18 months ago. He said, this is exact. I can see who you are, what you're about. I know exactly what you're talking about. I can see the direction you want to go in. This is what you should be doing. I wasn't even ready to do that yet. I didn't even have that own confidence in myself, but he spoke it into me and knew exactly. So his recognition of talent, his recognition of opportunity, and his willing to give advice and just goodwill is unbelievable. And it's a guy that obviously we're on the verge of doing a lot with. We've already done some stuff with. He's a guy that I absolutely love to be around and learn from.
So I have 3 pages of notes. We only have 10 minutes or so. So Mark, I don't know if you've identified some. I'm going to jump in with one of them. Trust your intuition. And here's the way he talks, the way he writes is so unbelievable. Your intuition is your software that you were born with, right? It's your natural frequency. Trust your intuition and follow it. Do not be reckless. Just truly feel it and go with it. And we all know that. You all feel it, you all know it. And so I love that piece of advice to get us kicked off.
I'm going with stop the classic cycle of learning. Too many people spend the first half of their life learning and the second half of their life on autopilot. We talk about it, constant and continual improvement. You make a decision every day to either get better or worse. There is no staying the same. It's not possible. So if you make that decision to get better, that requires learning. That requires pushing your brain, pushing your knowledge, thinking about more, and especially in the environment that we're in. And this was a big part of my conversation with Ann yesterday, is there are going to be new solutions pushed to a lot of different markets that have not evolved in a long, long time. But because of what's happening with our environment, they're going to have to change. They're going to have to adapt. So learning and bringing solutions is critical.
Love it. Now, these are all things that Joe sent me at the beginning of 2019. He just sent it out and said, here's my early edition for a kick-ass 2019. We are approaching near the middle to the end of 2020. So you want to talk about a guy who's really on the pulse. Love this one. Not my monkey and not my circus. That's their shit. They can keep it. You can't fix people. Don't try and do that. They can only fix themselves. And so be a good friend, be a good listener, but do not own their baggage, man. I think that's just unbelievable.
That's awesome. And especially in the coaching world where you can't help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves. That's really great.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that's critical. So I love this one. Take care of the machine. And what is the machine? The machine is your body. The body that carries, the vehicle that carries you through your life. So watch what you eat, watch what you think, watch what you drink. Everything that you put into the machine is going to determine the outcome. You have control over how you feel and what you're able to do with this vehicle, right? And we used to say this to the athletes because, they are, athletes and supreme human beings. You wouldn't put regular gas in a Ferrari. Right? You would put premium gas in a Ferrari. Treat your body like a Ferrari. Make sure the things you're putting into it is premium gas to make the machine run the right way.
So again, I want to take you back to early 2019. The book that Simon Sinek and Mark and I were talking about, The Infinite Game, was not written and published yet. So this was the last thing that he gave me as a tip. Do not count the L's or the W's. Don't keep score. You do not get bonus points for being ahead at the end of the first quarter. It's an infinite game. Play it that way. Stay in the game. Never bet all your chips. I get chills thinking about this because I remember when he sent this to me sitting there reading it, and I wanted to jump off the balcony like, I am so this guy in my life, it's like unbelievable,
Yeah. I mean, and this is the written content he was putting out on LinkedIn before it became the thing to do at this point. Was awesome.
So Mark, do me a favor, add one more of those, and then let's go to his 4 principles, because that's how we'll close out the day.
Give yourself permission to make anything possible. That to me is, you talk about it all the time when you're leading somebody. Don't give them the parameters. Ask them what they think is possible and push them beyond that. You should do that for yourself. If you tell yourself you can't do something, it's 100% not going to happen. But if you'll just push yourself to a point where you say, you know what, I'll try it. I don't know whether or not it's going to be successful, but I'm going to try it, and I'm going to do it until I absolutely know I don't want to do it anymore. Allow yourself to believe anything is possible.
Love it, love it, love it. So in a recent post, and I welcome you to follow Joe Mullings because he puts out amazing stuff. He put out 4 principles that sort of sum up where we are today. This is a view like, okay, ready? 4 principles. Number 1, approximation and precision. And Mark and I are talking more and more about precision. Speed occurs when you correctly and apply approximation and precision to principles in your daily activities. Decide when good enough speeds you through, and decide when precision is critical. Just do shit. Massive action equals massive results. People say, I said, are you working this thing? Well, it's not really working for me. Well, tell me how many you did. 4. I did 4 of those, 4, like seriously, 4, it's not that's not a case study. Do 4,000 and then tell me what you feel like. So love that one.
Abnormal moves to normal. Nearly everything today is abnormal. Embrace abnormal quickly and it converts to normal. I think that is speaking to what's happening right now. People weren't used to doing virtual coffees. They weren't used to using LinkedIn as a networking tool. These are all things that you've been talking about for a long time, that I've had in practice for a while now. That's becoming the norm. So if you're just now getting into it, not only should you be aware of what's happening right now, but get ready for what's coming next. Because it is this, once this becomes normal, get ready for something else to come and become the next normal.
So visibility to emerging, solutions. One of the things we talk about, modernizing the sales process. And you said it yesterday in the interview, which I loved. People are still using the same process they used 30, 40 years ago. Yeah. Changed, man. Go put something in your VCR, man. Seriously, like what?
Yeah.
Whether it's whatever those tools are, there's new stuff out there. The only reason why you and I have the ability to do it and teach it is that I tried it. Right. I did it. And I didn't know what I did. And this is one of the things that Joe talks about all the time. I talk about all the time. When I started doing video, I sucked at it, looking in the wrong way. And, now I just do it like it, why? Because I've done it so many times.
Survival moves to performance. Withstand the attack and move to an axis forward mindset. Get off your back foot. So especially today, I had boxing class this morning, which was absolutely crazy, but get off your back foot, get off your back foot, get forward facing, get moving, start looking ahead, keep your eyes forward and go. We're at our hard stop.
Yes, we are. So Wisdom Wednesday dropped a bunch. As always, if you want this information, do something, create an action, and either email me or contact me personally. Say, Steve, can you share that information? And I'd love to. Final thing, Michelle Esposito was on her way to see Eddie Dykes. Eddie, you better be nice to me. Yes, I said she can do something nice in your jewelry store, but buddy, I'll come after you. Okay, man. So you guys have a great day. Make it a great Wisdom Wednesday. Learn something and share it with somebody else. Tomorrow's Takeover Thursday. Mark, it's your day. I get to rest and watch.
All you have to do is ask.
Over the rainbow, baby.